Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Mercury squaring Uranus. This is happening for a third and final time due to Mercury's retrograde process. Mercury went through a first square to Uranus earlier in the summer, then through its retrograde went through a second square. Now through direct motion is going through one final square. This one is especially interesting because there is a mutual reception between the Sun and Mercury right now. And the square between Mercury and Uranus is perfecting as the Sun is also opposing Saturn. We're going to talk about the Sun's opposition to Saturn tomorrow, and we will reiterate some of what we've said today in the context of that talk tomorrow, because both of these transits are happening over the weekend. So we're just kind of breaking this up into two pieces, compartmentalizing a little bit, which I think will help us all to digest and understand what we're looking at here, although the two things are kind of inseparably bound together in the next couple of days. So that'll be the way we approach things. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been listening to it for a while and you haven't yet subscribed, it's free to do so, and it really helps our channel to grow. It helps us grow our community. We have crossed 68,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 70 by the fall equinox, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. Spring equinox, I guess, if you're on the Southern Hemisphere. But either way, if you haven't yet subscribed, we really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who has. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. Now, I just realized that there is one thing happening that I haven't promoted, and some of you may be interested. I'm going to take you over to the website, and on our events page, we have our, oops, I'm starting there. I'll come back to this. What I wanted to start with, was my courses page. If you go down to the masterclass series, the last masterclass series of the year is starting, coming up on September 6th. It is called The Magician's Apprentice, an archetypal exploration of the divinatory lifestyle. In this four-part series, what we are doing is we are taking a look at the archetype of the astrologer, the different archetypes of the astrologer. We're going to look at all the different kinds of astrology and astrologers and how they reflect in and of themselves different archetypes, and how you can identify what kind of astrologer you might be within your birth chart, or what approach to astrology resonates with you the most through your birth chart, which is pretty cool. We're also going to talk a little bit about about some of the signatures of the professional astrologer that we find in the charts of very famous astrologers. We've got a whole day worth of case studies. So if you're into this kind of thing, these are my master classes. You can buy any of them as a one-off a la carte item, or you can sign up for all 4 seasonal master classes at the beginning of the year through my Kickstarter campaign. But this last single masterclass it's about 8 to 10 hours worth of content over the course of 4 weeks. We meet on Fridays, but if you can't attend live, those are all recorded. So hopefully some of you will find this last masterclass series interesting. I typically advertise the masterclass at the beginning of the year when the whole package of all 4 go on sale. By the way, if you're interested in any previous masterclasses, just go to the shop page, and you will find on the shop page that all of my previous masterclass series or the yearly bundles of the series are all on sale there. So that's a good way to stay up to date with those masterclasses. If you want to catch one of them or a few of them from last year or this year, you can do it that way too. Other things, live talks this month in September. On the 19th, I'm doing a talk on Venus's 12 love languages. This is about the story that Venus tells by location, zodiac sign in your birth chart. And then next week on September 9th, our first year course, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, opens its pre-sale between September 9th and October 15th. The course will be on sale. It begins November 16th. And there's also need-based tuition. So I'll be promoting that starting next week. So I hope to see some of you in classes soon. And on that note, let's shift our attention now to the real-time clock, where we can take a look at Mercury and Uranus and get some of the greater context that aspect is also participating in. So here you can see Mercury in Leo today, September 5th, Thursday, at about 26 degrees. Uranus is retrograde at about 27 Taurus. So we're looking at these two planets coming into contact between Friday, September 6th, and by the end of Saturday, September 7th, they will be they'll have parted. You could get the full effect all the way until Mercury enters Virgo, which is about September 9th. So between now and Monday, you might be feeling the effects of these two planets in their square. But the main, the main action is happening today, September 5th, tomorrow, September 6th, into Saturday, September 7th. Now, what's so interesting is that we have what is called mutual reception. Mercury is in the sign of the sun, and the sun is in the sign of Mercury. So these two planets are trading signs, which means that they are working cooperatively right now. Mercury and the sun working cooperatively. And look at what's happening with the sun. The sun is passing through an opposition, to Saturn in Pisces. That is happening at the same time that Mercury is squaring Uranus. So this little combination of planetary aspects is powerful when you put them together. Now, if we speed this up just a little bit, the sun is going to go through the opposition to Saturn between Saturday, September 7th, and Sunday, September 8th. That is coming right on the heels of Friday, September 6th, and Saturday, September 7th, when Mercury heads through the square to Uranus. So they're happening back to back. Mercury hits the square to Uranus first, and then the sun hits the opposition to Saturn. But because the two planets are in mutual reception, these two aspects are happening as the two planets are working together cooperatively, which means the aspects are intimately tied together. So what does that mean? Let's get some specifics. These are the 5 things that I would watch for. I think these are the most likely scenarios. That does not mean they're the only scenarios. These are just some of the, textbook, the first line of entries in an astrology cookbook or whatever. So these are the things that I would really watch for given the combination. Now, the first one is going to be that very typical Mercury-Uranus combination, which leads to a new thought or a new idea. Very common for Mercury-Uranus to be a light bulb moment, a lightning flash, a lightning contact where suddenly there's an inventive or original thought or a thought that deviates from the norm or an insight or an aha moment, an electrically charged, inspired moment of clarity, action, excitement. This is very Mercury-Uranus. I'm going to say some other things about Mercury-Uranus because this isn't all that Mercury-Uranus represents, but it's one of the big things that Mercury and Uranus are frequently associated with, that original thought or idea. Now, when Mercury is in mutual reception with the sun and the sun is hitting an opposition to Saturn, what could happen is that a very original idea or insight is immediately met with a prohibition or some kind of obstacle. The reason for that is that as this light bulb moment happens immediately after the sun, who's in mutual reception with that light bulb moment of Mercury-Uranus through the mutual reception the sun has with Mercury, the sun will hit the opposition to Saturn, and then we might get something like a block or a limitation or a constraint that immediately comes up and says, good idea, but no. Too bad, you can't do that. So be aware that what might be like a truly exciting moment of insight could immediately be met with some resistance. So just keep in mind that juxtaposition because it's one of the main ones. However, what I love about this is that you could flip the same archetypal combination, look at it from a slightly different angle, and you could say that as a problem is approaching, right? Because this is the sun already within 3 degrees of an opposition to Saturn. And so as the sun is moving through this crucible of the opposition to Saturn, which will often be felt as the dawning realization of our limits or constraints, or the dawning realization that something isn't working or something is problematic, or that there's a feeling of weightiness or heaviness. And then right as that is bearing down, we could think of Mercury and Uranus squaring one another as the idea or insight that offers us a way out, a solution. Mercury-Uranus is very much about breaking from constraints and limitations mentally. And if the sun is in Mercury's sign opposing Saturn while this is happening, even if it isn't perfect, it's sort of like saying, look, as you're starting to feel more and more hemmed in by difficult circumstances, a light goes off and suddenly you have an idea about how you could create some space or some greater freedom, or, it's a solution where there's a problem. Innovative, original thinking, that kind of necessity is the mother of invention signature. That's this, because of the opposition from Sun to Saturn and mutual reception between Sun and Mercury, with Mercury square to Uranus. Hey, look, the constraint generates an idea about how to get out of a constraint. It's like Houdini. Number 3 would be an unexpected piece of news or information. The unexpected piece of news or information is textbook Mercury Uranus. You get an unexpected email, you blurt something out unexpectedly, you say something that maybe you've been waiting to say, but you finally have the kind of moxie or confidence or even just the fuck it, excuse me, to just say it. And so you do. And then what do we do with that? Well, pair it with the sun opposite Saturn, and you get something like an unexpected piece of news or information that helps you deal with a conflict or a problem, an unexpected piece of news or information that comes right alongside of a big constraint or a very serious issue, right? So, for example, the unexpected piece of news or information with these two that I would not be surprised to see at all. I'm going to go worst case scenario here, so plug your ears if you don't want to hear something a little dark. You get a piece of news that maybe a grandfather, thinking of a paternal figure with the sun opposite Saturn, has had a stroke, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it. That unexpected piece of news or information is Mercury Uranus, but the impending death of the solar figure is the sun opposite Saturn. And so a sudden piece of news or information about an elder or paternal figure, a leader or something like that, some unexpected piece of news or information about them, an announcement followed by a death, a resignation, something like that, could very well fit the bill for this combination. Now that's really dark, right? But I'm not saying that that's going to, I mean, for someone that's probably going to happen, but because that's just, it's so, I've seen this kind of thing so much. How many times have I seen fathers, grandfathers pass when Saturn opposes someone's sun? Hundreds. So it's a very common kind of thing. That's why I use it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen for everyone. What I am trying to say, though, is that when you think about the shocking news met with the immediate Sun-Saturn opposition, this could be the kind of shocking news that kind of casts a temporary shadow over things. It's a little bit of a rain cloud passing through. The unexpected news is the news of a bit of dark weather. Okay, so that wouldn't be surprising. However, the unexpected news could also be something that helps you to pass through a little rain cloud or storm. You know, something it's like, ooh, this is exciting. This is going to help me through. I'm in a difficult moment here. It's nice to get a breath of fresh air. It's nice to get an idea or a piece of news or information that can give me a little space or make me, help me give me a little medicine to get me through. You see what I mean? Okay, so just different ideas here. Number 4 is the need for intellectual freedom. Classic Mercury-Uranus combination, expression. Mercury-Uranus is the need for new ideas, new thinking, original concepts, original language. And then all of a sudden, there is what comes with it is the prohibition, someone telling you how to think. So you see, if Sun is opposite Saturn and there's a block of ignorance, then Mercury-Uranus is the original idea that frees you from some kind of ignorant assumption or judgment or understanding. So Sun-Saturn can mean a dimming of intelligence because the sun was seen as the source of intelligence, illumination, and enlightenment. Sun opposite Saturn can mean a cloud of ignorance, a veil of ignorance covering the solar sense of illumination. Well, Mercury-Uranus with the mutual reception with Sun-Saturn, that kind of putting them together could mean that there is a great sense of intellectual freedom and clarification coming during a period of confusion or deception or ignorance, that suddenly something is revealed. And also, just broadly speaking, the need to break free from limiting ideas or doubts, or to radically question or challenge a conventional form of authority, with a radical kind of break from the status quo intellectually or philosophically. That all comes to mind for this combination as well. And then finally, a new idea leads to a new structure. Basically, Mercury-Uranus is a new idea, and Sun-Saturn, with the reception that it has with Mercury, could immediately be the need to crystallize insights into form. The crystallization of insight is very Sun opposite Saturn. brings things into form. And so taking insights and forming them into structures or systems could be something that happens with these two things coming together. And it might be pretty mundane. You have to look at the whole sign houses. Looking at Leo and Taurus would be a good thing to do, as well as looking at where am I? Oh, as well as looking at Virgo and Pisces. Sorry, those whole sign houses are all kind of they're sort of working together, and 4 topics is not easy to put together. So if that overwhelms you, just take some of these basic ideas and see how far you get with those. That's a good place to start. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. Short and sweet. We'll be back tomorrow with more on the Sun opposite Saturn. A few separate things to say about that, in addition to the sort of Mercury-Uranus dynamics that I focused on a little bit more today. All right. Don't forget the archetype of the astrologer, the magician's apprentice. That masterclass series starts tomorrow if you want to join. I think it's going to be a great 4-part series. You can always listen to the recordings if you can't attend live. Year 1 sale for the Year 1 class sale and registration will start next week. So more on that soon as well. Take it easy. Bye.